Alright, everyone, welcome to part 2 of United States Air Force basic military training. I already tried doing this video like 3 times, and it took me this long to put a list down. So, I'm going to try and keep it simple, but I'm also going to elaborate on a few things. So, skip around anything that you don't think that you really need, which you probably need everything. So first things first, I already covered 0 week, how that goes. Kind of your first Sunday is basically your off day in a way. You get to go to church or whatever you want to do, or you can stay in the dorm. Not recommended, but you can stay in the dorm if you want to. So real quick, I'm going to jump on backgrounds real quick, and this is something that everyone needs to realize quickly, is that everyone comes from a different background, and some people get that, some people don't, and the people that don't are generally the people that have lived in one spot their entire life, never moved around, never grew up around any other cultural differences or anything. This part is specifically for people like that, or for people that should learn to deal with people like that. Everyone comes from a different background. Some people know different backgrounds, like they themselves have their own different backgrounds. They've moved around a lot. They've been to place. Some people, like I said, stay put. Whenever we get to BMT, they break that down. Like I said in the last one, they try and put everyone on the same level. Yeah, you get to talk about. They kind of make you feel like you just left everything behind, but that's not how it is at all. But you kind of almost have a weird mindset like that. You got to leave everything behind, but you're still you, just not whenever you're marching around in uniform. So the reason why you need to realize this is it gives you a perspective, and it gives you a perspective on how hard you should be working. For an example, me, I went in, as soon as I turned 18, I signed up to enlist. And that was because I was graduating in December. I was graduating a semester early. So I decided that I'll just sign up then. Literally, 18-year-old, just right out of high school, never had any experience on my own. I've had to pay for my own car. I have to pay for my own phone. I've had to have some financial responsibility, but it wasn't ever to the point where I was out of the house already. So I wasn't terribly experienced with outside life. So going into BMT, okay, well, let me back up too. There's the financial stuff and being fresh out of high school. I also came from a military family. I moved around a lot. I've lived in many states and in another country. And I lived under a pretty strict household. It was pretty strict. Strict enough to the point to where BMT wasn't a mental shock to me. It wasn't. All the requirements and everything were just about the same as it was living with my dad. Not to be a pity party, but for me, it wasn't hard. For other people that may have been in almost the exact same situation as me, maybe a little older, maybe not, but they were kind of carried as a child all the way up until then. They didn't have to pay for anything, or if they did, it was like a joint payment, so they didn't have to pay for much. Their parents got them a car. Nothing wrong with it, but just different than how I came up. Maybe they didn't have everything handed to them, but they didn't have to work too terribly hard to get what they wanted to do or what they wanted to get. Whenever they're in the house, they can hang out, they can joke around, they can hang out. Going to BMT is a big shock. It's a way tougher on someone like that than it is on someone like anyone that has had strict parents to the point where you couldn't do anything in the house. It's no different. And then you have the people that are on the exact opposite extreme, which they got everything handed to them. They've never had to pay for a phone. They've never been without a phone, and they've probably been through about 20 phones. They've also probably gotten a car not just from their parents, but their parents went out and bought them a new car and are paying for the payment on that car. Probably 20 years old, still living. Okay, maybe not that young, but like 20, anywhere between 20 and like 24, still living with their parents, freeloading. Not saying anything against it, but it's a crazy shock to them going to BMT. So you really got to be careful with how you're wording things and everything. Whether or not you agree with that sort of lifestyle, it's not up to you, especially not in BMT, because you made a choice for yourself. You didn't make their choice. They made their choice. Or maybe they didn't and they got sabotaged into it, which doesn't happen, shouldn't happen. But you kind of have to be a little sensitive to that. Not to the point where you got to treat everyone like a snowflake, that I personally am not a fan of, but to the point where you're not being a jerk. You have to learn to work together and everything. That's the point, is to give people from different backgrounds, from different lifestyles, doing the same exact thing. I think I spent enough time on that. Basically, just be sensitive to different backgrounds. Talk to other people about their backgrounds. Get to know how they click. What makes them do what they do. So then you can work around it, work with it, and be as effective as possible. It'll get times down, and that's what it is. Everything's on a timer. You got to eat within 10 minutes. You got to make your bed within 5 minutes. You got to be like doing hospital corners within 2 minutes. You got to be ready every single time. So as long as you know how everyone operates, you can get everyone to do what they're best at. All right, so I'm done with that. Week structure, or BMT structure in general, your calendar. It's kind of like the Mayan calendar. You have a countdown, and it's by week. You will literally hear the term blank weekers. So third weekers, fifth weekers, second weekers. That's your rank, basically, all through BMT, because you don't get stripes. If you go in there and they tell you, oh, you have college credits, oh, you've been through ROTC, or oh, you have a family, however that one works, you're going to be an A1C, an E3. You get 2 stripes on your arm. For those of you that don't know, you get 2 stripes immediately. After you graduate is when you get those. So until then, you don't even have your name tapes, your name tags for a little while. So your rank is kind of where your week is, where your flight week is. And you'll kind of have that if you go to, it's called Contemporary Protestant Church. They literally have a little hua thing of third weekers, where you at? Second weekers, where you at? And you do this little cheer or whatever. That's your rank. And each one is kind of structured. So you have 0 week, which is in processing. First week, same basic thing, but you're slowly learning how to do formation movements, static formation movements. You're learning your details, which are basically your jobs, your little labor work, if you will. And I'll get to that here in a sec. You're learning those. Second week, basically, you're not doing anything except for refining those basics. Third week, you're still kind of getting the hang of it. Now you're learning a little bit more. You're getting ready to go to classes. Yes, you go and sit in a classroom in BMT. That starts third week. They'll tell you what to do, where to go, and everything very explicitly, so I don't really have to go over that. But basically, you fall out downstairs onto a drill pad. It's just a little asphalt pad, and then you file into a classroom. You're still expected to do your reporting statements and to pay attention. Speaking of which, I don't know why I didn't do this in the first one. I almost want to take it down now. Reporting statements. I should have said this in the beginning. Your reporting statement is sir or ma'am, not at the same time. Too many people do that. They will literally say sir or ma'am. If it's a male, you say sir. If it's a female, you say ma'am. You're probably gonna. Some people get flustered and they say it both. So, just for an example, sir, trainee Whitney reports as ordered. That is your reporting statement. You're a trainee. You're not an airman yet. So it is sir or ma'am, trainee, whatever your last name is, reports as ordered. It's not just reports. It's not reporting as ordered. It's reports as ordered. So just remember that, write it down, get used to it, because anytime you want to engage in a conversation with anyone except for another trainee, you have to say your reporting statement. Sir or ma'am, trainee blank reports as ordered. And then after you graduate, some people tell you, or in the book, during Airman's Week, which is the last week, I'll explain that here in a bit, they tell you, you say, sir or ma'am, or they tell you need to say the rank in their name. You don't really have to. But sir or ma'am, airman blank report, and that's it. You don't say as ordered. That's kind of... They tell you to do that in Airman's Week, but you shouldn't, because as soon as you get to tech school, they tell you to put as ordered back on the end again. I don't know why they do that, but just don't get used to that. It's sir, trainee, or airman reports blank reports as ordered. So just to get that out of the way, because a lot of people get confused on it, and they feel like they're going to get in trouble if they try and ask because they don't know. So that's what it is. Let's see. Also, it's not just MTIs. It's anyone that is permanent party is what they call it. Me personally, as trainees, I'm okay with it. Because you have to say a reporting statement to civilians as well. As a trainee, I'm a little more okay with it. As an airman, a graduated airman, I feel a little off personally saying my reporting statement to a civilian. It's nothing against a civilian. They're on base and everything, but to me, if you're not an active military member, honestly, first off, really, the only reason why they drill the reporting statement into your head is because anytime you go into an officer's office, you have to report. It doesn't matter what rank you are. You have to report with that. But that being said, military, okay. But me personally, I don't really like saying my reporting statement to a civilian. But I can't change it, so it's whatever. So enough about reporting statements, week structures, week 2, 3, classes 4. Week 4, it starts to get fun. You start taking what's called FEST procedures, field blank blank blank. I can't remember, to be honest. It's basically they're training you how to be ready for like a deployed environment is whenever they start training you. And again, before I start getting Air Force jokes, yes, the Air Force does occasionally go downrange. They get deployed into dangerous areas, and you have to be around what's called an IED, which you will learn in FEST, 4th week. IED is improvised explosive device. There we go. For those of you that don't already know, there's tons of them all over the place over yonder. That's what you see on YouTube or any video with a convoy getting hit with a bomb. It's just, yeah, that's what it is, a fancy word for bomb. But occasionally you get downrange. Not so much anymore, probably, maybe, in the future, I don't know. But they're training you. Even if your primary job is nothing close to where you would be, like for me, cyber transport systems. Anyways, you're taught how to hold a gun, parts of a gun. You're kind of taught how to fight. It's kind of a little but you get taught how to fight, how to butt stroke, all this fun stuff, how to roll around in the dirt. And then, there we go. And then, so that's all the 4th week. And then 5th week comes around, and that's Beast Week. Beast Week, you get put on a bus to another part of the base, and you're deployed, basically. You're in a tent, you're in a little post, and then you're in a specific tent. You do go with your flight. You have other flights in your stairwell, they all get split up, but you stay with your flight, and then your flight gets split into 2 tents. Females are on one side, so they're 5 through 8, and then males are 1 through 4. At least that's how it was for me. You get there, and then you don't have MTIs anymore. They're called cadres. Your MTIs don't go with you. They tell you how to wear a mask. You go what's called CADM. You mess with a live M4, M16, A1, one of those. I can't quite remember, honestly, but it's whatever. You got to be careful in there, though, because they do have security there to make sure you're not being stupid. Just do what they tell you, basically, whenever you get there. It's no different than normal BMT. It's just a little bit more hot. MREs, in my opinion, you get half and half reviews. Some people absolutely positively hate them. Some people, like me, think they're kind of fun, and they're not bad. They can be a little tedious, especially since they still give you not a lot of time, and you have to heat them up and all this. It gets a little tedious, but I think they're still kind of fun. That's another thing. Make the most out of Beast Week. Don't let it be a drag, because it will be a long week if you do. I personally loved it because I made myself love it. Yeah, be careful with snakes and bugs and spiders and all that stuff. They'll tell you whenever you get there. So it's nothing new. So they tell you all throughout BMT what you're about to do. So that's why I'm not touching on to any crazy detail. If you really do think you need the detail, put something down and I'll let you know. But that's Beast Week, basically. You're deployed, and then you go through an obstacle course. You can't fail. Like, if you go through the obstacle course and you fall over or something, you don't really fail. That's not graded. But you just want to do your best. And then 6th week rolls around. Basically, that's the week that you're testing. You're getting ready for your PCs. So how to take apart your gun, your trainer weapon, how to put it back together, how to do facing movements by yourself, how to do your inspection, your uniform inspection. There we go. Your specific wall locker. You get your own wall locker. Everything has to be put in there a certain way. You get graded on that individually. That's the week that you have to start relying on yourself, and you can't rely on someone else to make your bed or anything of that sort of aspect. Get through 6th week, you have your last Sunday of being a trainee. You only have a few more days after that. So your run is on Thursday. You have this called an airman's run, and that's also whenever you get coined. You run around the PC, the graduation area. Again, it's right behind the PC. Like, it's literally part of it. You run around the track, and you're going to be practicing how to do parade and how to do retreat, which is what the coining ceremony is called, retreat. You will be practicing it, so you don't have to worry about that. When you run around, you go back to your squadron, and then you clean up a little bit, you change, and then you go all the way back there, and it's the longest day of your life because you're waiting for that coin. This is what it looks like. Yes, I keep it in my wallet. Yes, I am that corny. But you get this amazing little thing, and it's the best feeling of your life, honestly. Whether you're very patriotic or not, you just went in for school, you still feel amazing whenever you get this thing. So this is what it looks like. Focus. That's what you get. So the whole way that works is they have it in the right hand, and then you put your right hand out, and you put your left hand out, they place it in your right hand, and then you shake your MTI's hand. It's a little weird in my opinion because whenever you get coined by an officer, they put it in the hand that you shake. You shake hands. I know it's awkward, but you shake hands and then you take the coin. If this is you taking the coin, you take the coin away from them. That's how it normally works, but it's whatever. But you get that, and it's the best feeling of your life. And then you have Airman's Week, which is basically just trying to transition you from a BMT, very structured, very tight experience, over to tech training. Because here, even with Airman's Week, people lose their minds. Don't be an idiot leaving BMT. Don't go crazy. If you're a guy, don't be getting sex crazy. Don't do it. You will get in trouble some way, shape, or form. At least not with anyone. Don't get sex crazy in general, but especially with anyone here. You will know why there's this thing called SARC. You will learn all about it. It's basically a sexual assault response coordinator. I think that's what it stands for. I don't know what the C is exactly, but that's what it is. And there's a lot of accusations. There was someone in my stairwell that just recently got accused of something like that. Now he's going under an investigation. Don't be in a situation where you think you might be caught with something like that. Don't go crazy. People go and drink and do stupid things. It blows my mind personally how easy people just decide to ruin their life like that. Don't do it. It's not that hard. If you have friends that are like, oh, hey, we're going to go drinking, that's totally fine. Just make sure you're of age and you're not driving. You're not a civilian anymore, and I know it's corny, and you're going to find it corny later on. You're going to think, oh, whatever, we're still in a training environment. I don't feel like a top class, whatever. It's not the fact that you feel like it, you got to act like it. So just don't. Don't do it. Alright, so that's out of the way. But that's the point of Airman's Week. They tell you how to use your own head, because in BMT you were taught to not. You get what's called base liberty. So basically you get to leave the squadron and go to the BX. All through BMT, you're not allowed to have candy. You're not allowed to eat candy, whether you're away or not. You can't bring it to the dorm. You can't eat it. You can't have anything other than water and food at the DFAC. Don't bring it up in the dorms. They're going to tell you all that kind of stuff. I would get these little Listerine packets. We were told that we were allowed to have those on us, so you can kind of use them as like mints or whatever, but that's it. No gum. Alright, so jobs, details, I'm going to cover in the next one. Yeah, so in the next one I'll cover, I have a little bit of time. So basically your jobs and details, you'll get told what it is. So like if you're a latrine crew, they don't call it a bathroom, it's called a latrine. You'll be washing the latrine. Or if you're on bay duty, you gotta wash something in the bay, like something. You're washing the chrome on the sink. Yes, it's very, very, very detailed. Be chow runner. Basically, you go and report to the desk at the snake pit is what it's called in the DFAC, the dining facility. You gotta go report, and basically in a structured tone. I never did it. Basically, you tell the MTI in charge, flight whatever's outside, they're ready to eat. Not in that tone, obviously, but that's basically what you have to go and say. Some people have to take out the trash. You get jobs and details. Like me, I was chapel guide. If they ask you if you really went to church, even if you didn't, just do it. I highly recommend being chapel guide. It's a lot of fun. You get to leave early, and almost all day. You can go to whatever service you want to go to, and then you just work a service. I highly recommend working contemporary Protestant, because basically all you're doing is seating people, you're doing the offerings, or you're just standing in front of the door making sure the right people are leaving and people that shouldn't be leaving aren't leaving, and all that kind of stuff. And you get to sit there. The music's a lot of fun. It gets you out of the dorm, and you kind of get a little bit of a good sense of leadership, because you're part of the chain of command in that situation. So that's pretty much it on jobs and details. Week structure. The next one, I'll very briefly cover what it's like transitioning out of BMT and going to your tech school. Should be a relatively short one, but I'm kind of hitting that mark. So I'm gonna leave it at that, guys. Again, if you have any questions, if I was a little vague on anything, put a comment down. I'll be able to answer you when I'm not in class. So I'll catch you later.